Time for a Talltale short. As Jessica nervously buckled her seatbelt, her older brother, Luke, gave her a sly smile. His eyes were gleaming like a Halloween pumpkin in the darkness. "Are you prepared for the night of terror?" he asked, dropping his voice to a conspiratorial whisper. "The what?" Jessica replied, her excitement about spending the night at Great Aunt Ethel's turning into a bubble of worry. "Well, the main event," Luke continued, relishing each word. "The fermented fish fillets. Ethel serves them up like clockwork, slippery, slimy, and stinkier than a pair of old socks on a summer day. One sniff, and you'll think you've been teleported inside a fisherman's boot." Jessica recoiled, her face scrunching up. "Fish? Slimy and stinky? Gross!" "But dear sister, that's just the appetizer," Luke continued, clearly savoring the panic blooming on Jessica's face. "Aunt Ethel lives in the spooky, creaky house filled with creepy dolls. Their glass eyes follow you around the room, and the garden, a minefield of snappish snapdragons. Step too close and you'll lose a finger." As they pulled up to Aunt Ethel's house, Jessica's heart thudded in her chest like a drum in a marching band. She imagined she could see dozens of glassy doll eyes peering out from the darkened windows. Her fingers tingled as she imagined the snapdragon's bite. Aunt Ethel, a spry woman with mischievous twinkle in her eyes, greeted Jessica at the door. "Hungry, dear?" she asked, leading Jessica into a kitchen that smelled tantalizingly delicious. Dinner was served with a grand theatrical flourish. Before Jessica lay a platter of what looked like thin-rolled fillets. She cautiously lifted her fork, bracing for the onslaught of stink. But instead, the taste was smoky, salty, and surprisingly pleasant. "My infamous fish fillets!" Ethel chuckled at Jessica's surprise. "It's smoked salmon, my dear. No fermentation involved." Relieved, Jessica moved on to investigate the infamous dolls. They were, to her relief and amusement, an eclectic collection of nutcrackers from around the world. "They do seem to stare, don't they?" Ethel admitted, a hearty laugh bubbling up from her chest. "But I assure you, they're harmless." And finally, the notorious snappish snapdragons. Aunt Ethel led Jessica to a small greenhouse filled with all sorts of fascinating plants. And there they were, the so-called snapdragons, safely contained within their pots. They were Venus flytraps, gnashing their jaws in a harmless display. What was expected to be a night of terror turned into an evening filled with delicious food, fun stories, and botanical adventures. Jessica realized that terrors often lose their scariness when faced head-on. And sometimes, the scary stories are just a creative exaggeration, a trick of light and shadow. As she chatted with Luke on the phone, she added, "And next time, don't forget to tell me how much fun I'm going to have with Great Aunt Ethel." This was a Talltale short, small but mighty stories, released daily in audio format. Create, read, and share more tales at talltale.co.